Follow along with me as I read through this Nearpod about the New Deal. There is no link to the Nearpod, just watch this video. The first New Deal. In 1932, a new president, a Democrat, named Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was elected. He enacted a series of laws and public works projects that he called the New Deal. The goal of the New Deal was to promote economic recovery and help the United States emerge from the Great Depression. Later, Roosevelt passed further legislation or laws that expanded on the New Deal. This became known as the Second New Deal, so his earlier legislation became known as the First New Deal. On the following slides, you will learn more about the First New Deal. Electing Roosevelt. In 1932, Herbert Hoover lost re-election to Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt promised a New Deal for the American people, which quickly led to his economic recovery plan being known as the New Deal. The New Deal focused on three goals: economic relief for the needy, recovery of the American economy, and reforming the financial system, including banks and the stock market. These goals became known as relief, recovery, reform. The first 100 days. Roosevelt launched a series of relief programs as soon as he came into office. This became known as the first 100 days, in which he and Congress passed major laws that gave the federal government more power in the economy of the United States. Roosevelt first wanted to reform the financial systems of the United States. The Emergency Banking Relief Act enabled the Treasury Department to assess which banks had the financial stability to reopen. It also authorized the government to loan money to needy banks to get them to reopen. The Federal Securities Act required companies to provide more complete and accurate information regarding their company to prospective stock buyers. The Securities and Exchange Commission was established to regulate the stock market. The Glass-Steagall Act established an insurance policy for individual bank accounts up to $5,000, which meant that Americans who had lost money to a failed bank would be reimbursed. This specific department set up to oversee the insurance policy was the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC. Further reforms. In 1933, the Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, was founded in order to promote economic growth through the building of infrastructure. 3 million men were hired to build roads, parks, and dams. The workers also planted millions of trees to prevent another Dust Bowl, a phenomenon in which the prairies of America in which drought and a lack of soil stability led to a massive years-long dust storm. Additionally, the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, built dams along the Tennessee River to control flooding and provide hydroelectric power. More reforms. The National Industrial Recovery Act gave money to educational institutions and community centers and also provided more jobs. Homeowners who were unable to pay their mortgage were given relief from the Federal Housing Administration. Finally, the Federal Emergency Relief Administration, FERA, provided money, food, and housing for the needy. The effects of the New Deal. The New Deal did not end the Great Depression, but it did provide economic security and jobs for many Americans. It helped move America out of the Great Depression until World War II helped the country emerge completely. On the following slides, you will learn about the effects of the New Deal. Criticism of the New Deal. Many Americans supported the New Deal and benefited through employment, debt relief, or direct monetary or food relief. However, not all Americans thought that the New Deal was a good idea. This says you learned at the end of the previous video, but we did not watch the video. But we learned Roosevelt expanded the power of the federal government beyond what most Americans were used to. More federal jobs were created. The government had control over public works projects, and the government now regulated financial institutions. Roosevelt's approach was widely criticized by his Republican opponents, who thought he was creating a state of socialism in which the government regulated property and resources. On the other hand, some liberal opponents criticized Roosevelt for preventing the government from having even more control of the economy. They also thought the New Deal had not done enough to address economic inequality in America. Additionally, the federal government went into debt to provide these jobs and services. Government debt skyrocketed from under $5 billion in 1932 to over $50 billion in the early 1940s. This was also widely criticized. Employment. Despite the criticism, the New Deal did put people to work. The unemployment rate, which was at 25% during the early Depression, fell to 15% after the New Deal acts. Still a problematic reality, but the improvement was significant. Additionally, the measures enacted by the Second New Deal continue to help protect workers to the present day. Enduring programs. While the New Deal did not solve all of America's problems, it went a long way toward helping restore the economy. Many of the New Deal programs still exist. This says on the next slide we're going to read an article, but we are not going to read an article in this video. At this time, you can close this recording and return back to the classroom activities.